Huh? Starting. Hello students, how are you all? So today we are starting with chapter 8 of History NCERT class 6 and the chapter name is Villages, Towns and Trade. So what is the role of village, what is the role of towns and what trade was going on, what things were coming and what imports or exports were there, right? So these are the questions that are asked from ancient India from history part in the UPSC civil services examination. So we will look at this chapter keeping in mind all the important information that may come in the examination, like the important ports of Cheras, Pandyas, Cholas, right, and all the important items that were brought in or were exported to different countries. So all the important information has been given in this chapter, villages and towns. So what was the nature of town, what was the nature of village and trade? Okay, let's start with the chapter. So it starts with iron, tools and agriculture, because what happened is, why are we talking about trade? So with the introduction of iron, discovery of iron, what happened? The trade was on a massive scale. Okay, we often take the use of iron as for granted, right, because we know that iron is there, but earlier it was not there, right? Things made of iron are a part of our daily lives. Okay, the use of iron began in the subcontinent around 3000 years ago. So everyone was not using, since ages iron was not in use. It only started around 3000 years ago. Okay, so remember this point, this statement related to iron can be asked. Okay, some of the largest collection of iron tools and weapons were found from megalithic burials. So one more important information related to iron, that some of the largest weapon and iron tools belong to which period? Megalithic period. Okay, about which we have already read in chapter 4. Okay, around 2500 years ago there is evidence for the growing use of iron tools, and then this included axes for clearing forest, and then iron plowshare, it was also used, right? And plowshare was very useful in increasing the production. Hello students, how are you all? Who all are there? Send me hi, and also share the live if you can. Please share this live to your friends or the person you know that who is preparing for UPSC. Okay, NCERTs are very important for our preparation. Okay, so increasing this iron use led to what? Agricultural increase, production was increased. Okay, and time was less, time taken was less and production was more. Okay, iron tools. So other step to increase production. So first step to increase production was what? Use of iron implement in agriculture. Second step which was taken by the kings, by the kingdoms, was irrigation. Every king was focusing on irrigation. Okay, the king and kingdoms that we know, they have existed. They could not have existed without the support of flourishing villages, right? Villages, agriculture, even now we see that agriculture is the primary occupation in villages, right? While new tools and system of transplantation increased production, irrigation was also used, right? So new tools were there, transplantation system was there, different agricultural technique was there, but irrigation was also used, which led to even more production of agricultural produce, right? Irrigation works that were built during this time were what? Okay, very important. Canals, wells, tanks and artificial lakes. So these were the irrigation works that were conducted by different kings and kingdoms. Okay, so this is a kind of exercise which is given. Okay, so you can do this exercise. Okay, now who lived in the villages? Very, very important. So there were at least 3 different kinds of people living in most villages. In where? In the southern and in the northern parts of subcontinent. So 3 categories have been given. Remember this is very, very important because these categories are asked and the names are given, like who were Uzavar, okay, and who were Velalar, right? These names are given, and then the question is asked is what? That who are they? Okay, in ancient India. So in the Tamil region, large landowners were known as Velalar. Okay, these were the first category, large landowners, and ordinary plowmen, they were known as Uzavars, and then landless laborers were there. So large landowners and then ordinary plowmen and then landless labor. Okay, these are the 3 categories in south, including slaves were known as, okay, these were known as Kadaisiyar and Adimai. Okay, so these are the 3 categories in South India. Remember this point. Now going to North India. This name can be asked. Very, very important. Okay, so the most important person is Grama Bhojaka. What was the role of Grama Bhojaka? Simple question can come, okay, in ancient India. So northern part of the country, village headman was known as Grama Bhojaka. Usually men from the same family held the position for generations. Men from the same family, generation to generation, means what? Hereditary in nature. It was hereditary in nature. Remember this point. This village headman post was hereditary in nature. Okay. All the students who are watching the live, please type yes so that I know that I am audible, the video is clear, everything is clear, going smooth. Okay. Gram Bhojka was often the largest landowner. Okay, he was the village headman also and he was the largest landowner also. And he is the largest, richest and largest person, right? So what happens is slaves are there, okay, hired workers, big lands are there. So he might be employing workers also to cultivate the land. Besides, as he was powerful, the king often used him to collect taxes from the village. See the function of the people, the function of the village headman. So because he was powerful, right, he had many people, so king also used him as an official to collect the taxes from the villages. This is one of his duty. He also functioned as a judge. Okay, one more responsibility. So he is also acting as a judge, tax collector he is, and then sometime as a policeman. Very clearly it has been given that Grama Bhojka served different purposes. Remember this point because this question will come, can come. Consider the following statements related to Gram Bhojka and 3-4 statements will be given. So he was acting as policeman also, judge also and tax collector also. Okay, apart from Gram Bhojka, so he is the first category of the person. Okay, village highest level person is Gram Bhojka. Now the second category, there were other independent farmers known as Grihapatis. This is the second category, Grihapatis, most of whom were small landowners. Okay, and then there were men and women such as Das Karmakara. Okay, Dasa Karmakara, who did not own land and had to earn a living working on the fields owned by others like Grama Bhojka. So Das Karmakara, they were being employed under Grama Bhojka. Okay, so these are the 3 categories. Okay, in most villages there were also some craftspersons such as the blacksmith, potter, carpenter and weavers. So they were being used in trade. These were the people who were living in towns. Okay, the earliest Tamil composition. So we know Sangam literature. It is the earliest form of history, right? The history that we form of South India is from Sangam literature, right? The earliest source. They were composed around 2300 years ago. So same time it is happening. This development is happening in South India. Northern India, we see these texts were called Sangam because they were supposed to have been composed and compiled in assemblies. That's why they are called Sangam literature, because they were composed and compiled in assemblies. Different assemblies were there, okay, which were known as Sangamas of poets that were held in the city of Madurai. Very important. It was held in city of Madurai, and Tamil terms mentioned above are found in Sangam literature. Okay, now the importance of coins. When we talk about, so these are the coins, okay. See the picture, the punch mark, okay. Now see, coins, when we talk about coins, there will be what? Transaction will be there, right? There will be exchange of goods and services, yes or no? And it will be related to towns, right? Okay. Now, archaeologists have found several thousand of coins belonging to this period. And then earliest coins which were in use for about 500 years ago, they were known as punched mark coins. It was punched, okay, such as the one shown here. So they were known as punched mark coins. Now about the punched marks coins. Simple question can come in UPSC also, that what are punched mark coins? Okay, basic characteristic. So these coins were generally rectangular or sometimes square or round. So three shapes: rectangular, square or round. So any of which it can be in shape, either cut out of metal sheets or made out of flattened metal globules. And the coins were not inscribed, but they were stamped. They were stamped with symbols using dies or punches. Okay. So this was a feature of punch mark coins, and they are called as punched marks because they were punched, right? They were stamped. These coins are found over most part of subcontinent and remained in circulation. Okay. Now, cities with many functions. Okay. Now about the cities. So villages, we have seen three categories of people were there. One who was the most influential person. Second, under them like individual landowners were there, small landowners, and then there were slaves or other people who had no land and they were working on some other's field. Now about the city and the people and the function of city. Very often, okay, there were cities also during this period. One being Mathura, okay. So very often a single town was important for a variety of purposes. So cities also served many purposes, okay. What are the purposes? Now Mathura. Mathura is very important, okay. Mathura has been an important settlement for more than 2500 years ago, right. And it was important because it was located. Where is Mathura? Near Delhi, right. So it was located at the crossroad. This is north, this is south, this is west, and this is east. So crossroad of two major travel and trade route. Okay. So east to west trade route, it was in between, and then north to south also the two major crossroads. Situation is very critical and important. Okay. Now there were fortification also. There were fortification around the city and several shrines. Farmers, herders from adjoining areas, they provided food for people in the city. Okay. So Mathura is a city, and adjoining areas farmers provided food to the people. Mathura was a center where extremely fine sculpture was also produced. Very important. Mathura art, Gandhar art, right. So Mathura was a center of learning also. Okay. Next is around 2000 years ago, Mathura became the second capital of Kushanas. So during Kushana period, many important developments happened. Art flourished, right. Trade flourished. So Kushana were a big empire. Okay. About whom you would read in the we will read in the further chapters. Mathura was a religious center also. There were Buddhist monasteries, Jaina shrines, and important center for worship of Krishna also, right. So it had multiple roles. Okay. Several inscriptions on surfaces such as stone, slabs, statues have been found in Mathura. Okay. And there are short inscription also recording gifts made by men. So inscriptions were what? So where orders were inscribed, king's orders, and also some of the short inscription belong to the people, the gifts that were given by men to monasteries and shrines. So they were also inscribed, written. These were made by kings and queens, and then officer, merchant, crafts persons. All this information was recorded on inscriptions. For instance, inscription for Mathura mention goldsmith, blacksmith, weaver, basket makers, garland makers and perfumers. So these all are being recorded in the inscription. So related to inscription, one question can be asked that what all things were constituting the inscription, right, mentioned in the inscription. So these daily life things were also mentioned. Okay, now crafts and crafts persons. It is talking about towns, right, cities. Archaeological evidence are there for crafts, different practices. These include extremely fine pottery. So coins during this period, one coin was very popular which was punched marked coins. Second thing, craft related to northern black polished ware. So pottery related to pottery, NBPW. This was the craft that was used. It gets its name from the fact that it is generally found in the northern part of the subcontinent. Northern black polished ware. It was polished also. So remember that the archaeological evidence for many crafts may not have survived. We have many crafts but there is no evidence. So we do not know. Only the evidences that we have collected or we have found. So according to that we have formed the history. Okay. We know from text that the manufacture of cloth was important, right? One, pottery thing is important. Second, manufacture of cloth was also very important, and there were famous centers. Since ages, ancient India, we know that Varanasi was known for cloth manufacturing in the north and Madurai in the south. Both men and women worked in these centers. Okay, so equal participation. What is northern black polished ware? So it is also given the important information. So it is a hard wheel made metallic looking ware with a shiny black surface. So polished ware, right? And then the potter used to expose the earthenware to a very high temperature in his kiln, which resulted in blackening of its outer surface. Then a fine black slip was being applied, which gave the pottery a mirror-like shine, and that's why it is called polished ware. Okay. Now, it is very important and interesting information about spinning and weaving. Okay. So, spinning and weaving is the other craft that is being practiced, and all the people, all the men, women who were not able to do the work on a proper time, so they were also given the punishment. Fingers were chopped off. This was the kind of punishment. So these rules are from Arthashastra. What is Arthashastra? In chapter 7 we dealt about this, that Arthashastra is written by Chanakya or Kautilya, and this tells us about the Mauryan history, Chandragupta time history, right? Okay, now mentioned in chapter 7, they describe how spinning and weaving could be done in workshops under the supervision of a special official. So these tasks, they were done under the supervision of a official, specialized official. And then who were the people who were practicing this spinning and weaving? So all the widows, young women who are differently abled, nuns, mothers, courtesans, retired women, right? People like them, they used to practice this profession and may be used for processing wool. There are different activities. Bark, right, cotton, hemp, flax, they should be paid according to the quality and quantity of work. So payment was done according to quality and quantity of work. Women who are not permitted to leave their homes, they were doing what? They were sending servants to bring the raw material, and then when the work was finished, the servants were taking the finished work back to the center. Okay, this was the kind of thing that was happening. Okay, now many craftspersons and merchants are now formed association known as Shreni. So Shreni is a term which was what? An association of craftsperson, merchants, right? So guilds, Shrenis are also known as guilds, okay? Association. One second. Okay, so Shrenis, these Shrenis of craftsperson provided what? So Shreni had also multiple first of all, they were regulating the trade, they were checking quality also, quantity also, everything related to the market, and providing training also, procured raw materials also, distributed and distributed the finished product also. So they were basically the regulators of the market. Okay. Association of crafts person. Then Shrenis of merchant organize the trade, right. So these Shrenis, they were organizing the trade, what all things will be traded, how many exports are going, how many imports are coming, all the things. Okay. Shrenis also served as banks because these people had finances, had money, right. So they served as banks also, where rich men and women deposited money. Okay. And then this was invested because coin was there, money was there, part of the interest was returned or used for some other purpose like religious institution to support that, right. Now Arika Meadow, very important, all the ports, all the cities that are mentioned in NCERT, they become a valuable information. Okay. Do not ignore these information. You should make a short note about Arika Meadow. What was the role of Arika Meadow? Because these questions are asked, very simple questions. Okay. Find Arika Meadow and see, between 2200 and 1900 years ago, Arika Meadow was what? A coastal settlement where ships unloaded goods from distant lands. So first purpose is ships unloaded goods from different lands, coming from different lands. A massive brick structure which may have been a warehouse was found. How do we know that? Because a massive brick structure have been found, and this is how we create history. Other finds include pottery from the Mediterranean region, and because we have seen other crafts also of other regions like Mediterranean, right, and then we know that this was used as a place for unloading the goods, such as amphorae, tall double-handed jar that contained liquid such as wine and oil. So amphorae is a jar. Okay. Stamped red glazed pottery is also found, known as Altine ware, which was named after a city in Italy. See, these two things are found. Okay. Amphorae and then Altine ware from Italy. Okay. This was made by pressing wet clay into a stamped mold. There was another kind of pottery which was made locally, though Roman designs were used. Roman lamp, glassware, gems are also found at Arika Meadow. Very important information, right? This is how we know the relevance of Arika Meadow, because we have found these things. Small tanks have been found that were probably dyeing vats used to dye clothes, and also there is plenty of evidence for the making of beads from semi-precious stones and glass. Okay. Okay, let's move forward. Okay, this is what, see, very important about Bharuch, the story of Beri Gaza. And this is, Beri Gaza is known in Greek, okay, an account by a Greek sailor. So he is calling Bharuch as Beri Gaza. The gulf is very narrow, so he is giving a description of the gulf. Okay, the gulf is very narrow at Beri Gaza and very hard to navigate for those who are coming from the sea. Ships had to be steered in by skillful people, fishermen, and then they were employed by the king. Okay, next is, okay. So the imports into Beri Gaza were what? Very important, because anytime question can come that Bharuch was used for what purpose and what were the imports or exports from Bharuch. So wine, copper, tin, lead, coral, topaz, cloth, gold, silver coins, these were the imports. What were the exports? Plants from the Himalayas, ivory, agate, carnelian, cotton, silk and perfume. Special gifts were brought by merchants for the king, right? And then these included what? Vessels of silver, singing boys, beautiful women, and fine wine and fine clothes. So these were the gifts that were brought by merchants. Okay. So many things were being given to the kings. Tributes were given. Tribute is what? Kind of gift. Okay. Now trade and traders. So we have covered villages, category of people living in villages, we have covered towns, now the trade. Okay, northern black polished ware, right? This fine pottery, especially bowls and plates, were found from several archaeological sites throughout the sites, several archaeological sites throughout the Indian subcontinent. Now, how do you think it reached these places? Throughout the Indian subcontinent, we find northern black polished ware. How did it reach to these places? Traders, because of movement of traders, right? Because trade was being carried on. So it is this, the traders, they carried these vessels, right, from place to place where they were made to sell them to other places. And South India, very important, South India was famous for what? Gold, spices, especially pepper, and pepper was also known as black gold. And now precious stones. So these are the things that were famous in South India. What are the things? Gold, spices, pepper and precious stone. Pepper was particularly valued in Roman Empire and it was known as black gold because it brought what? Roman bullions, right? Okay. Now, traders carried many of these goods to Rome in ships across the sea and by land in caravans. So, this was their mode of transportation, ships and by land in caravans. Now, there must have been quite a lot of trade as Roman gold coins have been found in South India. Many, large number of Roman gold coins have been found in South India. So, we know that pepper was what? Black gold because it was very popular in Rome. Okay. This is a poem. Now, traders, they were exploring several sea routes, right? And some of these followed the coast. There were other across the Arabian Sea, Bay of Bengal. Where is Arabian Sea? West, and Bay of Bengal east, right? Where sailors took advantage of monsoon winds. Very, very important. Now, the sailors know, during this time period, the sailors know that there is this monsoon winds which helped in faster transportation, right, to cross the seas more quickly, saved more time means more trade, exactly proportional. So, if they wanted to reach the western coast of subcontinent from East Africa or Arabia, they chose to sail with the southwest monsoon. Very, very important. These monsoon winds helped them in trade and sturdy ships had to be built for these long journeys. Okay, now new kingdoms along the coast. Questions have come from this part and it may again come because many times same questions are coming in UPSC. New kingdoms along the coast. The southern half of subcontinent is marked by a long coastline, India's coastline, right? It has a long coastline with hills, plateaus and river valleys. And then among the river valleys, that of the Kaveri is the most fertile. Okay. Next is was chief and kings who controlled the river valleys coast became rich and powerful. We have seen in history that whoever king is there and who has the richest resource, the abundant resource, he is the most powerful, right? History has told us this. Now, Sangam poems mention the Movender, very, very important term Movender. What is Movender? This is a Tamil word meaning three chiefs, Movender. Who are the three chiefs? These are Chola, Chera and Pandya, CCP. Chola, Chera and Pandya, heads of three families who became powerful 2300 years ago, right? Arika Medu, you have to remember, Mathura's evolution and importance, you have to remember, Kaveri is the most fertile, the region around Kaveri is the most fertile, and then Movender, three chiefs were there, right? Each of the three chiefs had two centers of power, very, very important, Chola, Chera and Pandya. These had two centers of power, one inland and one on the coast. Of these 6 cities, 2 were very, very important, and first is what? Puhar or Kaveri Pattanam, right? Puhar or Kaveri Pattanam. This was the port of Cholas. Question has come that what was the port of Cholas? Okay, Puhar and other options are also given, and Madurai, it was the capital of Pandyas. Okay, next is what? The chiefs. Now about the administration part. So, they were not collecting regular taxes like in North India. Regular taxes had started but not in South India. Not in South India. Instead, they demanded and received gifts from the people. Okay. So they were demanding gifts. That's why we see that there are different kind of thing, right, from merchants that they were bringing from different regions. Okay, they also went on military expeditions, and then they collected tribute from neighboring areas, tribute, gifts, right. They kept some of the wealth and distributed rest amongst their supporters, and then including members of the family, soldiers, poets. Many poets were whose composition are formed in Sangam collection composed poems in praise of the chiefs, right. So Sangam poems also tell us about the praisal of the chiefs. Now, the chiefs rewarded these poets with precious stone, gold, horses, elephant, chariots and fine clothes. So these were the items, valuable items. Now 200 years later, what happened? A dynasty known as Satavahanas came. Very important dynasty, Satavahana. One of the important ruler is Gautami Putra Shri Satakarni, right. He is the most important ruler of Satavahanas. Okay, now we know about him from an inscription, and this inscription was composed by his mother, Gautami Baila Shri. He and other rulers. These rulers were known as Dakshina Pathpati, okay, Dakshina Pathpati, literally the route leading to the south, and then which were also used as a name for entire southern region. Dakshina Path, route leading to the south, and these rulers were known as lords of the Dakshina Path, Dakshina Pathpati in Hindi, okay. He sent his army, who? Gautami Putra Shri Satakarni. He sent his army to the eastern, western and southern coast because military expeditions, right. Now Silk Route and the Kushanas. Okay, see, Silk Route is also there and Kushanas. Important city related to Kushanas is Mathura. Remember? Yes, center of learning, religion, culture. Some kings tried to control large portion of the route, and this was because they could benefit from taxes, tribute and gift. So if they are controlling the trade route, different items they will be getting, plus they will be getting the taxes because of import and export, right. Transportation of goods brought by traders traveling along the route. In return, they often protected. Why they are collecting the taxes? Because they are giving the protection also. So they protected the traders from the attacks, right. The best known of the rulers who controlled the Silk Route, right. Silk Route, Kushanas, they controlled the Silk Route, who ruled over Central Asia and northwestern India around 2000 years ago. Their two major center of power was Peshawar and Mathura. Peshawar in Pakistan and then Mathura in India. So that time Indian subcontinent was the part, right. It was a part of. So Takshila was also included in their kingdom. Takshila is where? This side, right. So Takshila was also in their kingdom. Now three major centers we know. First is Peshawar, second is Mathura, third is Takshila, and it was under Kushanas. Remember this point. Now Takshila was also included, and during this rule a branch of Silk Route extended from Central Asia down to the seaport at the mouth of river Indus. From silk was shipped westwards to the Roman Empire. So this was the Silk Route, okay. And this is how the trade was carried on, and the extension was also there. It was extended from Central Asia down to the seaport. So this was the chapter number 8, all the things related to iron, right, how it helped in the increasing production, irrigation, how it also helped in increased production, port, what were the important ports, tell me the name of the ports that we have covered in this chapter in the comment section. Okay, now Sangam, we know about Sangam, these were the assemblies, right, where Sangam texts were written and composed and compiled. Shreni, we know that it was a guild association. Silk Route, we know why it was important, right, what purpose did it serve. There was trade going on, it was also serving as a resourceful area, taxes, tribute and gifts were collected in on Silk Route, right. Traders, what was the role of trader? Now very important, see word used for large landowners. Simple exercise, you can solve this, right? Gram Bhojka, they often got his land cultivated by whom, right? So there were people who were doing the work for others on other land, right? Flowmen were known as what in Tamil region. So northern term is different and southern term is very different. So do this exercise, and now I hope everything is clear, and we'll meet in the next video with a new chapter. Till then, please like, share and subscribe the video, और आप ये जो this video you can share with your friends who are preparing for UPSC. Thank you.